Hello, everyone. This is Neil with the Dastardly Gentleman. With me, I've got Frank, and tonight we're going to talk a little bit about surveillance. But before we get into that, how you doing, Frank?
I'm doing just fine. Neil, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm super.
Super duper?
Yeah. What's new with you, Frank?
Well, I'm about a half an ounce lighter.
You missing some organs?
Organ. I mean, it'd be terrible if there was more than one. I had my gallbladder removed, and I'm high as a kite, so let's do this thing.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
So surveillance. Frank, do you have home surveillance?
No.
Would you like home surveillance?
I would. Um, just because I feel like, it would help me make sure that my shit doesn't get stolen. Uh, but I move around too much to have any kind of home surveillance.
All right. Do you think surveillance can be a bad thing if you have it like for your home?
For your home? No, I don't really think it'd be a bad thing for your home. I
Okay.
mean, I think that like surveillance, I think overall surveillance, like, in the streets is potentially a terrible thing. But like in your house, no, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've got plenty of surveillance in my house.
Boy, howdy.
There's no angle that I can't see around my house. Um, I think it's absolutely worth it because, good or bad, whatever happens outside, I know what's happening.
Hmm.
Somebody breaks in, you know, they can have my shit, but the cops will find you.
Yes. They gonna wreck you, son.
Um, so yeah, I strongly suggest home surveillance for everyone, and it's really not all that expensive. I mean, it's if you don't know how to do, any kind of wiring, yeah, it can be kind of pricey, but you can get yourself like a home surveillance kit with the wiring included for less than $250.
That's pretty inexpensive. I actually imagined it would have been a lot more expensive than that.
Yeah, I got mine on a Black Friday deal for 140.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, I've always wanted to have home surveillance, but like I said, I move around way too much, so like it's really kind of like not really practical for me. But whenever I do actually settle down in a house, I definitely plan on having home surveillance, probably a substantial amount of it.
Yeah. There's nothing bad about it. I mean, especially if you just have it on the outside of your house. I can understand how some people might feel a little creeped out having surveillance inside the house, especially with the potential for hackers. But you gotta think about it this way. If somebody is gonna go through the trouble hacking into your shit to see your dingus while you're walking around your house, um, I don't know. I mean, honestly, is it really that big of a deal?
And here's the thing, if anybody wanted to see my dingus, they don't need to hack into anything. They could just send me an email and be like, "Look, dude, I just want to see your dick. All right, give me five. Let me spruce it up a little bit, thumb it a little, make it worth looking at, and then you can have.
Give,
I'll give you a dozen.
get the lighting just right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I gotta put it next to a. I'll go down and I'll buy one of those the little soap containers.
Yeah.
So, or like the little Pringles cans, so that I can like put my dick next to the little tiny Pringles can. And it makes my dick look super huge.
Like Godzilla.
Yeah, look, Godzilla dick.
Oh man. So, okay. If it's just like, you and your significant other, yeah, okay. What about if you have kids?
I think that depending on the situation, it could be great and it could be terrible. As your kids get older, the more terrible it is. Because like when they're young, you can have your kids and have them be surveilled, and it would be very helpful because like uh, someone's trying to, like, if you have a babysitter, someone hurts your kids, you can have it on film. If there's something's broken and your kids are like, no, they did it, you can go, okay, well, I'm gonna find out. So you might as well cop to it now, lest you be judged. And but I mean, as they get older, especially especially if you have a daughter.
Hmm.
Don't bring boys home, please, God. Because then like you got that recorded and you're just gonna sit there and cry for like 4 years. No, Daddy, we didn't do anything. Oh, you're a fucking liar.
I have to kill him now.
Like, look, now I'm gonna film and your grandma used your grandma made that doily. Why'd you do that? Now he must die.
Yeah, that's the immediate action that must happen after that, but
Yeah.
and then you have to go to jail.
No, you just kill yourself too.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth it at that point.
Yeah, you just, I mean, you don't want to live after that.
So there's some things you can't unsee, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Well, how about, okay, so there was a couple stories out there where, and actually there's a website out there that allows you to just pick a random unsecured IP camera and just start watching, you know? I think we talked about that at one point, but at one point there was guys that were turning on the fucking speakers and microphones on cameras.
Yeah.
And talking like to their like baby monitors, like to sleeping baby, hey baby, you know, shit like that. Like how
that's weird.
That's the thing of nightmares. Like I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like, is it worth the risk of something like that happening? I mean, obviously you can take the steps and make your shit more secure, but nothing is 100%, of course. But hackers are going to take the path of least resistance and not worry about the shit that's secure. They're going to go after the shit that's unsecure.
Right.
So
I mean, like as a father with multiple baby monitors, I think that, you know, having baby monitors absolutely 100% necessary. There is not a doubt in my mind that they are incredibly important for a platitude of reasons. I mean, the least of which is like, you know, most of them now, like you can get like such a finite amount of sound, you can hear babies breathing. So like, you know, like if you're in the middle of the night, you wake up and you're like, oh my God, is she still breathing? You could just look at the baby monitor and like you see the little line moving where like, you know, yeah, she's breathing. So, I mean, I think that's really, really helpful. But all mine are like really like closed circuit. So like there isn't a chance of hacking. I mean, I remember reading a story about like where a couple came home and like into their daughter's room and she was crying because like some guy was moving the camera around. It was like talking to baby and whatever. See, I would immediately take that camera into the other room and I would just whip my pants off. I mean, like, I'd be like, you want to do it? And I'd be like whipping my dick like right on the lens, being like, you like that? You like that? You want to talk to babies? Why don't you talk to me like a baby, huh? just I mean, I would be like, the guy would be like, no, don't. I'd be like taking like spreading my butt cheeks for this guy. I got something I want to show you. I would take it like to like this guy would never come back. I mean, like, the shit I would do.
Yeah, I don't know how effective that would be, but I understand what you're trying to say. So
You'd probably be like, so you ready to go again?
All right. I'm gonna save this one in my favorites.
Yeah, I'll come back 50, 60,000 times.
There's always shit going on in that house.
Yeah, this house is insane. It's wonderful. I actually like there because they do a lot of the public cameras. Like I'm not really into voyeurism, but like we have talked about it before. But like the public access cameras that you can see like on street corners and stuff are really fascinating to me because you can, you know, you pick different cities and the different cities have different cameras all throughout and you can look at them and you can really kind of see like, you know, a candid slice of life of a particular country, which I think is extremely unique and offers a perspective that you otherwise wouldn't have. Where like, I know this is probably like terrible, but also probably like a pretty typical an American notion where, you know, I looked at some CCTV cameras well, I guess they're not CCTV, but I looked at some cameras in Russia, and I don't know why, but like I always just imagine like everything in Russia is like really grim and depressing, but it looked like anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like literally any other town ever, and I don't know why I was thinking that. Maybe because of like years of Indiana Jones and Tom Clancy novels. Where I just imagined that it would be like the worst place on earth, but
well, every movie you see that features Russia, like they automatically put the mint filter on. Everything is like blue and dark and
Yeah, like it looks like a frozen wasteland. Like they really imply that like, it's a terrible place. But then like I looked at the camera footage, I'm like, I mean, they're just, they're just people like normal. Like they don't look, they didn't act or look any different than anywhere else that I've ever been. It just, I don't know. And then, same thing, like in cameras in Japan or Turkey. It was all just the same. It was just different area.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very unique thing though.
Yeah, speaking of CCTV, there's actually a show on Netflix if you haven't seen it. It's pretty much just called CCTV. It's basically cops, but heavily relying on CCTV. Like, I think it's in either Great Britain or somewhere over there, like in that general area.
Hmm.
But basically, they have local businesses can sign up with the CCTV team, which is a whole division in the police department. And, the police will actively watch for criminals in your area. And if there's a crime that went down, they can always pull up the footage. So pretty much every local business in that area signs up for it. It's like free security, basically.
Hmm.
So the police there, they have access to every camera in the city at any given time with a lot of really high tech facial recognition and shit. So to me, that's pretty cool because nobody gets away with anything. You break into something. I mean, they showed a footage of a riot in progress, and then I mean, it was just basic riot shit, people being vandalists and whatnot, but at one point, a group of people had been trying to kick through the shutters on a shop to get in so they can loot the place. And there was two people in particular that were riling people up and getting them to kick down the shutters. Those two people got caught, and then everybody else got questioned and caught as well. But yeah, I mean, this was in the middle of a chaotic riot, and they were able to catch the assholes that took it a step too far.
Yeah, I mean, I think stuff like that's great, where you can have like a CCTV camera or any kind of surveillance system actually really pay for itself like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. My concern though is it's a little like Minority Report. And the domestic surveillance in general when it comes to that. Everybody knows it's there, so I mean, it's good that it's transparent. It's good that people know it's there, so they don't have to. They know they're being filmed at any given time, so they have to watch what they're fucking doing. It's not secretive, so that's the good part. But the other part is if the government decides they're going to put a law into effect that nobody agrees with, and everybody decides to break that law, they'll catch every single one of you.
Yeah, there's that terrifying point at which like surveillance now just becomes like oppression,
Mm-hmm.
where it becomes like an Orwellian nightmare.
Right, exactly. I mean, straight out of 1984 there. But you have to have absolute faith in your government to not abuse it, and it's too much power.
That is, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, that's like, I think of almost anything other than this country, other than like short of like nuclear arms codes, I think that's something that needs to be um, probably the most heavily monitored and considered versus like, well, it's just no big deal. It doesn't have to be as what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
Regulated.
yeah, regulated. Thank you. I just, because you really need to have somebody that's on there being like, you can't just do that. I mean, like, you can't just go on there and then do whatever you want to. That's not what it's for. Because I could just see actually I was gonna say a certain presidential candidates, but now both of them would probably be on there and be like, no, I don't like this guy, fuck him. I would put everything, like, just monitor everything. I'm gonna abuse the shit out of this system so I can make all this money, and I could just see that happening, and I would love it. I would hope that there would be like groups that would just be like, no, Mr. or Miss President, you can't do that. We have to have that.
Well, that's the thing.
Like,
is
that's
that
just too much.
that's actually happening now. That's happening now in this country, and that's one of the things that Edward Snowden blew the lid on. I mean, we are retaliating against people, or at least our government is, that are speaking out. I mean, and I know this might sound very conspiracy theorist right here, but I mean, for like, I don't know, people opposing, Hillary Clinton's campaign, or leaking information and shit, they're ending up dead. It's
Yeah.
it's not it's retaliatory. It's scary as shit, and you can't run away from it. They know where you're at all times. It's
Yeah.
already in place, but they're just being really nonchalant about it, and not giving you the full story on it. In Great Britain, they're telling you, yeah, we can see everything you fucking do. So mind your shit and do not break the law. Here, we have no idea. I mean, we do, but anybody that speaks against it or speaks out about it is, considered a quack. They're conspiracy theorists, and they need to be medicated or something.
Yeah. They're the kind of guys that like, Roswell this and Area 51 that. And they just like, you say like, well, the government's watching us. And they're like, did you get that? Did you receive that through your tinfoil hats? Like, no, dude, I saw the camera. I mean, like they're everywhere. It's not about, I'm not being crazy. They're fucking, I mean, why do you think I'm crazy? Shut up.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it like, okay, so the Patriot Act has pretty much enabled 90% of this stuff. I mean, we've always had an NSA. We've always had, some sort of security surveillance going on. But because of the Patriot Act, we can use it with abandon, basically.
Yeah.
As long as we say it's to fight terrorism. But the thing is it's not good at fighting terrorism. Like
No,
it's
it's not.
good at looking at your nudes. It's good at being a peeping tom. But when it fucking matters, like the whole San Diego terrorist incident, when you need it the most, it's not helpful at all. So you got all these people saying, "Oh man, we need more of that. We need to give more money to that program so we can prevent it next time." And it all it does is empower them to take our freedom away even more.
Exactly. And, I mean, the Patriot Act, I mean, like, even just seeing it going up, like, whenever they're talking about it before it even actually went up, I was like, I am so incredibly against this.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even ever, like, I mean, like, it didn't, I don't even think it even came up to a vote. I think it was just something that was just like, and go.
Yep.
And I was like, no, this is so not good. Because, I mean, like, you're right. We always did have an NSA. We always did have, like, someone who would, like, be kind of, like, sort of spying on us, but it was never as overt. And I think that's the thing that's really, like, the most galling is that, like, it's how blatant it is now. Where, like, before it was like, we're kind of watching, the direction of your communications, but not necessarily the content. But now it's like, they're sitting there clicking through your emails and they're dragging their ball sack right across your face. Being like, we're checking your stuff, we're looking through all your things, and there's not a fucking thing you can do about it. And now they're just like, they're basically rubbing your nose in it.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They're like, we're gonna do it because we want to, and fuck you. And it's the worst. It's the worst.
It's absolutely the worst, and that's one of the things. Like, okay, so when Edward Snowden, blew the lid on this, he took it a step too far, and he also revealed that our spying programs in other countries as well. And unfortunately, that's one step too far. That is treason. I
Yeah.
mean, when Obama was put into office, or we put him into office, he had passed a bill or did something to make it more lenient for whistleblowers, to actually promote people to come out against corruption. And then Edward Snowden does this, and now he wants his fucking head on a pike. Understandably so, because of the whole foreign surveillance thing that he blew the lid on. And now we're, hard to get trust back from some of those countries.
Well, yeah.
But, and this is one of the things that Julian Assange said. He said, with all the, DNC leaks that have been coming out lately, he's like, look, this is serious shit, okay? This is our government betraying us, basically. He's like, the one thing that concerns me the most isn't about getting caught, isn't about, um, isn't about pissing people off. It's about putting all this stuff out for everybody to see and nobody thinking it's a big deal and nobody doing anything about it. And that's pretty much how it's turning out. He's like, okay, we've irrefutable evidence that your government has betrayed you. Your votes don't mean shit. Money in politics rules everything. We're spying on you. The government is
Yeah.
spying on every little thing you do. We're talking text messages, everything. And everybody's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, because like they don't want to disrupt the get along to give along or whatever. I just like, it blows my mind where like people like, I think like I actually am more, I'm more okay. This is stupid. I'm more okay with the people that are kind of like, well, I don't really want to rock the boat than I am with the people that are like, well, we need that. No, we don't. And what
Right.
world do you think we need that? I mean, like, I've talked to some people recently that like, they feel that like, the government really being into everything that you do is the most important thing and is the safest thing. And I'm like, you are fucking insane.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, you do me like, what life do you feel like you want to live whenever you actually have to have someone that's going to sit there and tell you every little thing that you can or can't do? They know everything that you do. They know how much you fucking weigh. They know where you work. They know how much money you spend. They probably know how much you jack off, which to me is probably just some guy sitting in a dark room with a clicker with a big old box of tissues, weeping constantly, being like, "How does he do it?"
But yeah, yeah, absolutely. The people that are just like with it. I mean, the people that promote it, especially the people, and I've heard this a lot. The people that say, "Well, if you don't have anything to hide, then you don't have anything to worry about."
See, and sort of yes, sort of no. But I mean, like, it gets to a point where it doesn't really matter because like it's still the point that they can literally do anything that they want to you with abandon. I mean, that's essentially what the Patriot Act has given them. It's given them the absolute thumbs up from all the powers that be to literally fuck you over at any given moment. You know, like you got to at least try to save up for a bunch of money. Nah, you try to like apply online for a loan. Nah, you look too brown.
Yeah.
I mean, like, like did you at one point Google something that was really close to a terrorist organization? Well, you don't need whatever you're going to try to apply for. You don't need a bank loan. You don't need your insurance.
Right.
And that's what it's coming down to, where people are actually able to have these things happen to them. And I don't like to keep like beating up that old tired quote that from Ben Franklin about those who want security and freedom can't have both, basically paraphrased.
Right.
But that's still true, and it's just I don't know. And people who think that it's right and it's the best thing, it's like, how do you? I think the thing that makes me crazy too is whenever they're like, these are the same people who said they want all these security measures and they want all this surveillance, but in the same breath they talk about freedom.
Yes.
And I'm like, you don't have that. You have an illusion of freedom. You haven't had freedom. You don't know what freedom is. Freedom is dangerous.
Yeah.
That's why you have these systems in place to really like essentially lord over you and to make sure you don't have freedom. Because if you had freedom, you probably wouldn't know what the fuck to do with it. Because you'd actually have to make decisions on your own. You wouldn't have a government to tell you what to do. You'd probably die. I mean,
Absolutely. That's it. Absolutely. I mean, you keep on giving the government more power so you don't have to do anything.
right. It's become less of a democracy and more of an autonomous collective where like, you're put inside of a position and you sort of like, you teeter on and you go through and and then you die. And like, I don't know. I think it's amazing to me that as a country that is being touted as being like the center of freedom is one of the least free right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other countries that are staggeringly more free. They're economically better. They're socially better, and they look at our country and they're like, I thought they were supposed to be the land of the free,
Yep.
but now it's just more like you're the land of the amazingly controlled.
Yeah. And it's so scary too. because it's not even the government. I mean, yeah, the government is the source of it, but who controls the government? People with money.
Yeah.
I mean, so basically, if you're rich, you sway what the government does, and you have, friends in high places, basically. So if you have money, you have more power than anybody,
Yeah. I mean,
and
corporate
and
buy-in,
yeah. So because of that, you have access to all these tools that the government has. You just phone in a favor for a friend, and say, "Hey, I need to find this guy. He owes me some money, or he screwed over my company. Last I heard, he was in Kansas. Can you pull some strings and find him for me?" And they will find him.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they'll probably put them in a fucking duffel bag for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So
like that the worst part about it is that, like, God bless our law enforcement, for all the things that they do, but they probably won't even think twice about it. I mean,
no
you have law enforcement get like, there's an arrest order for this guy. What did he do? It doesn't matter.
shit.
It
Make
should
something
matter.
up.
Here's the thing. I mean, they probably won't. I mean, it's getting to that point in our nation's history where we are getting perilously close to Gestapo levels,
Yes.
where they're getting so blatant about what they're doing and what they're so blatant about what they're doing or not doing, that like they don't even feel like they even need to make something up. I mean, because like at least like back in the day, whenever like people were fucking around and they were like doing some hokey like really kind of scary shit, they'd make up a reason, be like oh treason, the what was it, the communist trials in the 50s.
Yeah.
uh uh they'd make up a reason. That was a made up reason to try to drag all these people to drag all these people to jail. They're not even doing that anymore. They're just like government questioning. I mean, like that's a catch-all, isn't it?
Yeah. Pretty much. Uh, Patriot Act. you know.
Patriot Act. I mean, like hey, Homeland Security has been like, I mean, Homeland Security is just a really fancy name anymore for Gestapo, because they've really kicking indoors, searching through people's shit. I mean, American citizens with absolutely no reasons to go to look through their shit. Oh, that surveillance though. It's so scary. I mean, it's scary. I mean, it's scary like no matter what. But like, I mean, I get scared because it's like I'm worried about these assholes just kind of like showing up uh, for my kids. I mean, not they're going to take my kids. That's not what I mean. But I mean, like, they show up. They don't play by anybody's rules. They just do whatever they want to, and they can hurt anybody at any time, and they get a free pass on it,
Yep.
and it's terrifying.
It's absolutely terrifying.
And this is why you need to write your congressman. Not that does any good, but you should write your congressman. And this is why everybody should own a firearm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I know this podcast is supposed to be about surveillance for the most part, but it's getting into more about corruption. And that's the thing is,
Well,
I
because
don't.
you can't have one without the other at this point. I mean, like
True.
because like they are so incredibly intermingled. Because you have corrupt people running an overall surveillance grid on everything that we do, and it's almost like you almost can't disconnect the two.
Yeah.
Because like you can have surveillance where it's like you could talk about local surveillance, but like local surveillance on the account of a person being accountable for their stuff and the safety of their family is always a good thing.
Yes.
A government having overall surveillance on the entire nation and it has absolutely nothing to do with safety of the nation is not a good thing, because I can bet you dollars to donuts that like if a government is put into any position where it is allowed to surveil an entire nation, no good will ever come out of it.
hmm
Ever.
It might sound like a good thing, and it might, when they put it on TV and show the big arrests, it might seem like a good thing. But it's too much power for any one entity to have,
It is.
and it really is, especially the way things are running right now in this country. I mean, you say write your congressman. Yeah, you're right. It's not likely going to do anything because there's so much. It's so ingrained right now that the people in power can't be taken out of power unless by force.
I think one of the things that's interesting about about, I know we're getting off topic, but I think what's most interesting about this particular election cycle is that we now have two representatives that are the extremes.
Mm.
They're extreme right, extreme left. And I think that it's really making a lot of politicians like take a step back and go, "Oh, what happened?"
Yeah.
Because like now like you've got people that are crossing the aisles and they're like, what have we done? I mean, like they're like, this guy, this girl, they're what have we done? These are this is the worst scenario. This is the worst possible case that we could have had. And like it seems to me that like like because like the RNC can't control Donald Trump, the DNC's fucking killing people that disagree with Hillary Clinton, and it's pretty clear that that's what's happening. And it's like it seems to me like that the other politicians involved are like, we fucked up.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to really do some shit. And like it's just, I mean, it almost feels at this point like this is the best possible thing that could have happened, because it's like as good as like getting all that money is, this is what it's led us to. It's led us to two extremely corrupt, incompetent people bullying their way into the White House, where they're unarguably gonna fuck everything up. And it's been pretty, and they've almost made it so like they're pretty adamant and pretty open about how bad they're gonna fuck everything up, to where other politicians that are like career politicians are like, shit, we probably should not let this happen. We probably should at least try to curb it somewhere. Maybe, hopefully.
But they can't, though. I mean, ugh. They can't. Everybody that, and I'm not going to say everybody, but the majority that supports, Hillary, that are like on board, either are delusional or they're getting paid. And the people that support Trump just fucking hate Hillary.
And just, man, I mean, like my hope is that whoever gets elected, that Congress will kind of pull like an old Rome, where they're like, this is a nation of a republic. This is a democracy where we represent the people. And what we've done is we've taken that away from them. And I hope that there's like this kind of like moral and philosophical awakening in Congress. I'm not planning on it, but it would be nice. But like this moral and philosophical awakening in Congress, where we're going to have politicians that are going to be like, this is no longer of the people, and we need to fix that. And I'm hoping that like, whenever he says or she says anything that notably, against the country, because there's going to be a lot, I guarantee you, I don't know, from either one of them, it doesn't really matter. I'm hoping that Congress really shuts it down. I'm hoping that goddamn, I hope somebody stands up and says, this is wrong. And I'm hoping so bad. And I hope that surveillance is one of the first things that goes, because like this Patriot Act is killing this nation. And I don't know. It's so bad. I mean, like surveillance for the sake of pretend liberty is just the worst. Mm-hmm. The whole idea is the worst. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, it's not just you. There's two sides of the argument when it comes to surveillance. Either when it comes to domestic surveillance, either you hate it and you think it's the biggest slight towards citizens' liberty in general, or you support it because you've done nothing wrong and you want the government to catch the bad guys. And those people are the same type of people that will say, oh, we didn't catch the terrorists in San Diego, we should give more money to the people doing the surveillance.
Right.
When you got, there's a third party of that. And the third party is people that just don't give a shit. And that's probably the majority. Right.
And I think that like, surveillance, like what we said earlier, domestic surveillance is always good. Like if you have a private individual who wants to surveil their own stuff, make sure that their shit doesn't get stolen, or, they can, catch criminals, etc., on their property. That's perfect. That's fine. Because, working as intended. I think that there's even a place for government surveillance, but like, I think that it should be focused more outward than inward. I mean, like obviously, but like, and I can't even necessarily say that like that entirely, because like in the case of like, with San Diego, they didn't get caught. But like what, but then it's like, well, then what were they doing? Because we didn't catch them, but we gave them all this power. We gave them unilateral, they've almost got unilateral power to just do whatever they want to whenever it comes to surveillance, and then yet they still weren't captured,
Yep.
or they still weren't noticed. So it's like, what was the problem? What was the hiccup? And then they come in and they say shit like, well, they were on a watch list. Well, they must have been watching them real fucking close, because I mean, like, these assholes got like 20,000 rounds of ammunition and a whole bunch of Pyrex, and we're able to blow some. We're gonna be able to blow some shit up. So I mean, like, how close were you really watching it, or were you spending too much time watching other people so that certain incumbents could get more money?
Well, that's the thing, and that's one of the things was, oh, they were on a watch list. The other thing is, oh, we're so backed up with all the other shit we're watching. We need more money. We need more staff, and God,
That's
damn
at the
it.
point where like you. That's at the point where you're like, we have so many people that we're watching. It's like, so how many of these people are bona fide terrorists then? Because I mean, if you're at the point where you need so much more staff, so much more money to be able to actually surveil all of these people, now either you're working for the wrong people, and this nation is already doomed. Terrorists are so deeply ingrained into our midst that our country is 50% gone already, or I don't even know. I mean, like, chaos in the streets. Because I mean, like, if you're at a point where like a government agency needs a ton more money to continue to investigate a bunch of suspected people, and they have so many that they aren't able to get people who are blatantly terrorists that they were supposedly watching, how many actual citizens that are just going on their day-to-day lives are actually on this watch list?
Here's my thing, and this is when you get down to just the strict numbers, okay? Before we had such heavy surveillance, was it bad? Were we being attacked constantly? Like, was there like a lot of domestic terrorism, terrorism in general?
Right.
Not a whole lot more than there is now. In fact,
No.
there's probably less. Um, so do we need to keep funding and fund even more the program that claims it's going to protect us against future acts of terrorism at the cost of losing pretty much 95% of our freedom? Or should we just completely defund it all together and use our fucking noggins for once?
See, I'm not. I see. I think that like there should be some levels of surveillance, but I think that at this point, like, the amount of money versus the efficacy of our law enforcement surveillance, local law enforcement surveillance, substantially better. Certain task force, substantially better. Whenever you have like a unilateral surveillance system that is just like all encompassing, all engrossing, it gets everywhere. It looks at everything, but then it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's like, so what good is it? How you're right, like, and besides, like, most domestic terrorist acts are citizens, like actual honest to God citizens, not even like, people running through the hall screaming Allah Akbar with a turban and a magic carpet. We're talking like just like the guy in Colorado gets pissed off at fucking Planned Parenthood, shoots the place up. I mean, he went in there with a hunting rifle. It was just a spur of the moment, like, what? They're killing babies. Pop, 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 pop. There's almost no way that they could have stopped that. So, you know, at that point, like, what good was the surveillance?
Yeah. I
Zero.
mean, yeah, you could figure out what happened after the fact, but
Yeah, what do you fucking do to? I mean,
yeah.
like, we know what happened. This guy asshole went off his goddamn reservation and started shooting people up. I mean, it's like, that's one thing that also kills me about like some of the surveillance stuff. It's like, well, we need to find out the cause. I'm like, the cause was he was pissed off and he shot a bunch of people. You stupid fuck. I mean, like, what else do you want to know?
Yeah, um, uh, we won't get into the whole shootings thing because that'll be a whole nother hour of me bitching.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't see how much good it can do. Um, all I can see is the damage it's doing, and it's basically keeping us under thumb. And I love surveillance. I love being able to see what's going on at my house. I love seeing if there's a package on my porch while I'm at work. It's great. Nobody has access to that shit but me. When it comes
Right.
down to it, if the cops come after a robbery has happened, I will hand them the tape. I have, the ability to do that. I have the ability to say, you know what? No, I don't want to give you that tape because
Right.
it's my shit. But this is very small in the scale of things to when it comes to the whole, government surveillance thing.
Right.
As far as picking up the pieces after the crime has been committed, yeah, well, we've been doing that forever.
I
Cameras
mean,
don't
yeah,
do much for that.
cops are less preventative and more like cleanup.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's the number one reason why I am okay with the Second Amendment and whatnot, and why I think people should be armed and trained to use their weapons. But I'm on both sides of that coin. I hate the fact that is necessary, and I hate the fact that everybody has to be fucking toting a gun, ready to go. But I do recognize the fact that that's necessary. I just hate
Well,
it.
I mean, it's been like that since humans became
Forever.
social creatures. I mean,
Yeah.
like you either if it wasn't a gun, it'd be a knife. If it wasn't a knife, it'd be a stick. If it wasn't a stick, it'd be a rock.
Sure.
So I mean, like it's always gonna be something.
Yeah. No, and I get that. It just makes me sad.
It is sad. I mean, it's sad that like like we as creatures aren't evolved enough at this point that we can't sit down and like actually like discuss differences without having to have somebody blow up a building.
Yeah.
I mean, like all this thing about like all the potential being wasted, like every time like some asshole goes in with a bunch of dynamite strapped to his chest and takes out like an entire fucking stadium or whatever. Just like the level of human resources being dissolved for nothing.
Yeah.
It's just
And
it's depressing.
it really is. On a different note, now that we've depressed everybody,
Womp womp.
how about body cams for police?
Absolutely necessary. I think
Absolutely.
it's funny. Here's the thing about body cams for cops. They're absolutely necessary for the cop. Because so far as I'm aware, almost every time that I've seen anything about a body cam with a cop, could just be media, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's been like where like you have different groups like Black Lives Matter be like you're like, oh, he just he gunned down that poor boy and blah 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 blah. But then like you look at the body cam and like the kid clearly whips out a gun and points it at the cop, and cop shoots him, or whatever, whatever the case may be, and it's like, well, the officer is completely justified.
Yeah.
It's like that just saved that cop. I mean, saved him completely. And like, if I was a cop, give me the damn body cam. Give me one for my hat too.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do this. Like light me up. I mean, like let's fucking me everything that I do. I mean, let's have it happen because I mean that way, whenever the shooting does start, I want it to be known that I had absolutely no choice.
Right.
But of course, then you got like like some of the stories I've seen, like one of the ones in what was it, L.A. They had body cams,
Uh-huh.
but when they were gonna kill that homeless guy, they all mysteriously went offline.
Yep, I remember that. Ugh.
Womp womp.
Yeah. Ugh.
That should be like you're all fired and you're all going to jail.
Yeah, no, that's especially if it was found that you were tampering with it and whatnot.
I mean, which clearly they were. I mean, if all,
Yeah.
all of them went offline all at the same time, then they had to have what gone offline at the station too. So somebody at the station turned them off.
Yep.
Womp womp.
Well, okay, so I only really have one counter argument to the body cams, which personally I feel that they're absolutely necessary for cops. But my one counter argument to that is, I mean, when you're a cop, you're it's your job, okay? I mean, that's
Right.
what you do. So I feel that the footage on body cam should only be pulled and reviewed in the event of a shooting or a death or something like that, because
Right.
otherwise, I mean, it goes back to the whole surveillance thing. You've got your manager or your superior watching your every fucking step. What if you wanted to go spank it on your break, like,
Right.
or just wanted to fuck around and have some fun at work, some harmless fun. I mean, that's everybody does it. And for your commanding officer or your manager, supervisor, whatever, to be able to fucking watch every step you take. And I know of some people that would do this. Lots of people.
Yeah.
They would fucking scrutinize you big time. And shit that shouldn't get you fired, shit that shouldn't get you written up, would, because you're wasting the company's time, you're wasting the this that and the other. You're basically stealing money from us because you're not on the grind every fucking second of every day.
Right.
And I think that would suck. So I mean, if there was some sort of regulation to put into place, say, hey, I'm only gonna pull this footage if shit goes down.
I think like that's kind of like, I mean, like I can't say as far as like a regulation, but I think that like that's sort of like implied, and I think in a lot of ways, where like the footage only ever seems to really like come up like like if like you're like, oh, this cop beat the shit out of me for no reason, and then like they'll pull the body cam footage and be like, you pulled a knife, so you're lucky he just didn't kill you.
Right.
I think body cams for cops, 100%. I mean, like I said, I mean, I think that they're best thing for the cop. I mean,
Absolutely.
not even so much like the citizens, because I mean, like the cop that way, like when the cop's in the process of doing his job, even if like he ends up, let's just say like it's dark out, and then a guy, cops like like, hey, what are you doing? And the guy like whips down into his waistband, and the cop slaps leather and blows the guy clean out of his boots. Because like you have to make a lot of sudden life and death decisions, that can change in seconds. It could have been him or me, and I understand that. And then you find out that the guy was unarmed, but like then you look at the footage and like it was dark. They already had a suspicious call. This guy was acting crazy, and then the cop went to confront him, and then he went for his waistband like that, and then the cop shoots him, and the guy ends up dying. But then like when you're looking at it, dude, this guy like he saw that cop, he freaked out, he went for his waistband. What did you think he was gonna do?
Yeah.
There's a million things that could happen. That cop didn't want to get shot. That cop didn't want anybody else to get shot. This guy was already being creepy, crazy anyway. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I think that like cops just need that. I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, and it'll definitely help weed out the bad cops. I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, like in Louisiana, a couple weeks ago, there was a couple of cops. I do not understand what the fuck these guys were thinking, but it was crazy. I mean, this. I'll try to summarize it to keep it the drama short. But basically, it was a small parish where the judge basically hired these two cops to be his beaters, and he didn't like a guy, and so he sent these two guys that had already had that they personally had rap sheets of violence and shit like that. They were
hmm,
basically criminals, but he brought him into the sheriff's department to basically be his goons, and he sent him after this guy, and they shot up this guy's car, and the guy got shot a couple of times, but he didn't die. But his son, who was in the car, who was autistic, got shot like 9 times and died.
oh shit.
They had body cams on where the guy was in his car, clearly not resisting arrest. I mean, like they just pulled up and they just started lighting his car up,
Wow.
and they had body cams on. And these guys are going to jail for first degree murder, and that judge is being disbarred. He's being ripped out. I mean, I'm like, I cannot believe that this shit happened. I mean, like, how do you walk up to a place and be like, knowing that you're being filmed and be like, I'm going to do the most criminal thing possible?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how to deal with that.
And that's the thing, especially with the whole body cam thing. You would think the body cams would be a deterrent. We're like, okay, you're like, okay, typically I do some pretty fucked up shit while I'm on duty, but now that I have this body cam, I gotta clean my act up because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to throw my life away.
Right.
You would think, but no, that blows my mind. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, and then like you got the one in Chicago where like, the people were going nuts because like, the cops supposedly murdered that kid out in the middle of the street,
Hmm.
and he was just doing nothing. Nope. They're trying to talk to him, whips out a gun. They kind of shot him. I mean, like you do. That's kind of what happens whenever you whip out a gun on the cops.
Yeah, it's
So
suicide by cop, basically.
yeah, I mean, like I think that like I mean, like I cannot think of a single reason a body cam on a cop is a bad thing. I mean, other than like you said, like being overly scrutinized, but even that, I don't really see that really happening too much because usually the people that are like, are your supervisors, have already spent their time, you know, being cops,
Yeah.
like being out on patrol and whatever, and like now they're not doing it anymore. I can understand them probably being like, you know. you do, whatever helps you get through the day, as long as you're not breaking the law. Because like if it comes back and be like, like he gets the call like, were you aware that your officer was standing in the middle of Wendy's jerking off onto the salad bar? Like, let's roll that footage back. Oh shit, he is.
Gross. Gotta fire him now.
The cops are like, justice is served.
Uh,
Justice reigns from above. Thump, 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 thump.
give you a little bit more dressing on your salad.
Yeah,
Gross.
2 on your Caesar salad.
That's gross, Frank.
That's gross. Some gross shit. I'm a nasty motherfucker. I'm gonna go turn myself in. I need a body cam whenever I jerk off.
Well, that's it for the podcast, folks. Thanks for listening. I hope you like what you heard. If you did, please like, rate, comment, subscribe, so on and so forth. Donate on Patreon if you really liked us. And, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook.
And if you didn't like it, you probably work for the NSA.
It's probably true.
It's probably true.
We'll be having a new podcast out pretty soon. But until then, we'll see